ऑल गुड.
गुड.
दिलीप भाई कैसे हैं?
दिलीप भाई अनम्यूट करो आप.
परितोष, विनीत,
Good evening, sir.
योगेश भाई,
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, ji.
Good evening परितोष भाई, मालिनी जी, नमस्ते.
Good evening.
Jinendra,
Good evening,
good
everybody.
evening. Good to see you, Jinendra.
अच्छा मनप्रीत, you have to just share screen now with अपना संदीप जी के साथ में.
हाँ
मुझे co-host बना दिया तो ऑटोमेटिकली मिल जाएगा वो, राइट?
हाँ जी.
Good evening, Malini ji. I see you after a long time.
Hello, how are you?
Good, ma'am.
See you.
Same here.
Malini.
Good evening, Malini. Very nice to see you after a long time.
Hi, Vineet. How are you?
I'm very well.
Hi, Abhishek, Sid, Suvendu, Kashinath.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Sandip. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
We are living COVID-19 or not in Mumbai and others, in universe.
क्या बोल रहे हैं? PDG Vijay has just come in, Manpreet.
हाँ जी, I've noticed. I've taken it.
Hi, Vijay.
Welcome Vijay ji to the Rotary Club Mumbai Ghatkopar. Welcome, sir.
Prabhat Kohli is also joined. He's our honorary Rotarian.
Oh, I see.
He's nominated for the President's Award. He is a swimming champion, one of the best in the world. Open sea swimming champion, actually.
Oh, excellent. Hi, Vijay. Welcome. Vijay Jalan.
Vijay, you have to unmute.
Vijay ji, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes. How are you?
An honor, Vijay. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. I was wanting to hear your new the presentation on 6 graph. My God, this is something interesting.
Jalan ji, namaskar. Janendra Jain here from 3040.
Vijay ji, congratulations again.
Hey, thank you.
Vijay, teko Jinendra Jain, DGN from 3040 is saying hello.
Acha. Oh, okay. Hi, Janendra. How are you?
Sir, fine.
Good to see you.
Jalan sahab, good evening and welcome to the Rotary Club of Mumbai Ghatkopar, sir.
हाँ, बिल्कुल जानता हूँ आपको साहब, बहुत बढ़िया से.
हाँ जी. I think let us start. It's already at 5.
Yeah.
So.
Hello.
I'll just mute everybody. 1 second, please. Tomorrow, whole day you are busy with the vaccination. Singla ji, please unmute yourself.
Okay. So, good evening, friends. Today we have our regular club meeting and we have another co-host club with us, which are RC Mulund, Rotary Club Mumbai Salt City, Rotary Club of Mulund Hillview, Rotary Club of Bombay Mulund Valley, Rotary Club Mumbai Mulund East, and Rotary Club Mumbai Mulund South. So I welcome all the co-presidents and our DGN Sandip Agarwalla ji and our DGN from district 3040 Jinendra Jain ji and other district dignitaries and Rotarians present. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for national anthem. Thank you, friends. The four-way test. Now I request our club secretary Manpreet Singh to read the four-way test.
The four-way test of Rotary. Is it the truth? Is
Is
it
it the
fair
truth?
to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Manpreet. Dear friends, I welcome today first one our guest speaker DGN Sandip Agarwalla ji, then DGN from district 3040 Jinendra Jain ji, PDG Vijay Jalan ji, and my co-president Siddharth Daftari, Sadhana Patil ji, Bal Krishna ji, Mahima Menda ji, Rinku Parshuraman ji, and Dr. Rajesh Agarwal ji. And I welcome all the dignitaries from district, past presidents from other club president, and all the Rotarian, our district secretary Ashok Singh ji. I welcome you all, sir. Birthdays and anniversaries of this week. Tomorrow we have anniversary of our IPP Parul and Hitesha. We wish them happy wedding anniversary in advance. Parul is there? Parul? No, she is not there. 20th May we have anniversary of our past president Nitin and Sangeeta Parab. We wish them also a happy anniversary in advance. Nitin Parab, are you there? 20th, we have birthday of Aparna Jairam, daughter of our Rotarian Dr. Sri Krishna Mudu Nuriji. We wish her happy birthday in advance. 22nd May, we have birthday of our Rotarian Samir Ghia. We wish him happy birthday in advance. 23rd May, we have birthday of Rotarian Meera, spouse of our past president Viren Gohil. We wish her happy birthday. Viren bhai, मीरा जी को हमारी तरफ से हैप्पी बर्थडे एडवांस में विश करना. I think he has to unmute himself. Viren.
Yeah, I just waved at you. We'll surely definitely pass on your good wishes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. 23rd, we have birthday of our charter president, charter member, our honorary Rotarian Shantilal ji Jain. I think there's some mistake. Shantilal Shah likha hai, lekin he is Mr. Shantilal Jain. So we wish him happy birthday in advance for his long life. On this Tritya Akshaya, we have given position of one house under Asiana project and 2 more houses to be ready by the next week or so. So one house we have given position under this Asiana project. Why are accused angles so depressed? Because they are never right. ये मनप्रीत का मस्ती लगता है थोड़ा बीच में. चलो नेक्स्ट. आज हमारे बीच में हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर DGN संदीप अग्रवाला जी मौजूद है और हम उनको सुनने के लिए पूरा बेताब है और उन्हीं को सुनने के लिए मैं हमारे प्रेसिडेंट नॉमिनी फाल्गुनी पारिक जी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर का इंट्रोडक्शन करें. फाल्गुनी पारिक.
Before that, we welcome DGN 3142 Kailash Jetani. Welcome, Kailash.
Welcome, Kailash ji, to the Rotary Club of Mumbai Ghatkopar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. And also PDG Shashi Sharma is there, so we also welcome him.
welcome PDG Shashi Sharma ji. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I had never imagined as a president nominee, I would get this chance to introduce district governor nominee for the year 22-23 of the RI District 3141. Past President Sandip Agarwalla is a third generation Rotarian. He joined the Rotary Club of Bombay at the age of 29 years and went on to become its youngest president in 91-year history at the age of 41 years and 12 days. His term as a president is remembered as one of the finest, with plenty of service activities, fellowship, top quality speakers, and record fundraising. His zeal after completing his term as a president has never diminished, and we see that even today. His work in the district has been avenue chair across a broad spectrum of activities for various district governors, and is one of the very few to have been asked to head the Rotary Foundation Avenue twice. He has been the group head for Teach and Wins, Group Avenue head of TRF, and also the district secretary and the head of the public image. Other than these, he has been an AG in 2004, in the year 2004 to 2005, and AT chief coordinator and district secretary in the subsequent years. He was also nominated by the PRIP Ron Burton to be a part of the India CSR committee. He is currently a member of the National Working Group for CSR, Rotary India, Executive Committee member of the Rotary India CSR National Committee for the year up to 30 June 2021, and the District Endowment and Major Gifts Coordinator for the RI District 3141 for 2021. He is also the Ambassador Coordinator for All India for RAM, Rotarian Against Malaria Action Group, responsible for eradication of malaria on all India basis. He has been elected as the district governor nominee for the Alpha year 22-23 for RI District 3141. His business interests include mining of marble and solar energy. He is a member of several reputed professional bodies and a member of Mensa International, a high IQ society. His beautiful wife, Malini, runs a successful fashion accessory business. She is a past president of the Inner Wheel Club of Bombay and also is its ex-trustee as well. His son, Abhimanyu, is based in London and is married to Priyanka. They have a sweet little granddaughter, Elena. Sandip ji's daughter, Rishika, is married to Sanket, and they both live in USA. So without much ado, I leave the floor open to you, Sandip ji. Thank you. Oh, was I on mute?
No, you're fine.
Okay, fine. I thought I was on mute. I saw that. I said, my God.
Very
So
late.
Thank you so much, Falguni. I suppose practice makes perfect, and you're off to a flying start. Very much appreciate those kind words. And of course, let me tell you, there's been a new addition to my family. I now have a 6-month-old grandson too. His name Kai Bijoy. So we are really fortunate. And today's topic is something which is very interesting. But before that, I'd like to say hello and welcome and thank you, Manpreet Singh, President of Rotary Club of Mumbai Ghatkopar, for inviting me today. My good friends, DGNs, Kailash Jethani and Jinendra Jain, past district governors, Vijay Jalan and Shashi Sharma, and of course, so many senior members of your club, including Yogesh Bhai, Viren Gohel, Falguni yourself, who are members of my team, and there are many others. And forgive me if I've not taken some names. I welcome you all. And of course, many members from my club who have also joined in, many members of the Alpha team are here. Special welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The 4 stages of life, mainly for men, are Brahmacharya, Grihast, Vanaprast, and Sannyas. These categories complement each other, and link with the samskara system, giving a framework for the lives of Orthodox Hindus. Conversely, there are other 4 stages of life which can be looked at as stage 1 and to stage 4. So let's look at stage 1, imitation and education. The first stage represents all the basics of life. You learn how to walk, talk, and do simple tasks like feeding yourself. In this stage, life is focused around education and building the fundament for your lifetime ahead. How do you do it? Simply by imitating what you see others do. Who do you imitate? All the adults around you, your teachers, parents, even superheroes. They'll show you how to function. Out of all the stages of life, this one helps us to lay a proper foundation. Stage 2 is about exploration and self-discovery. At the stage, you're taught to fit in. In the second stage, it'll teach you how to stand apart. In this time of life, you're ready to discover who you really are. You are now making your own decisions and learning what makes you unique from others. It's the time where you start to explore life and go out to leave your mark on the world. At some point, you will notice your limitations and it'll anger you. You probably start off by not accepting these limitations and push to try and achieve them regardless. You think you're good at everything. With time, you learn that your limitations are real and that is a very good thing. They show you what you're bad at. And after all, you can't be great at everything. The second stage is accomplished once we realize that we have to be selective about what we do. Limitations will help you transition into stage 3. Only if you accept your limitations can you go beyond them. Stage 3 is about dedication and commitment. Stage 3 marks a great number of responsibilities, not only for ourselves, but also for others. At this point, you start to build your legacy. Building your legacy is about leaving something behind when you're gone. At stage 3, you begin the foundation for this legacy, including priorities and responsibilities. Most people in stage 3 have the desire to leave the world a better place than how they found it. For some, the ambition to accomplish even more never comes to an end. People are so used to constantly striving for more that they have anxiety with the outlook of retirement. And once that day comes, the hunger for accomplishment and power starts to haunt them, and they miss out on the next important stage in life, which is stage 4, retirement and passing down your legacy. This stage is about finding meaning of life, about finding meaning in life and death. It offers us a chance to make sure something of us continues to live on in this world, even when we are long gone. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. So while we've discussed these 4 stages of life, there is no age prescribed if you saw. It depends on each individual as to when they decide they want to progress on to the next stage of life. Some want to retire early, some want to retire late, some achieve whatever the objectives are of each stage at different stages of their ages. Nothing is fixed. You have to work it out for yourself. Which brings me on to my presentation, which is the 6 most important graphs you'll ever see. I will share the screen with you. Just a second, please. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
We could see it before, but not now.
Okay,
Not
one
now.
second. The problem is when I share the screen, my notes get hidden too. Just wondering whether there's another way to do it.
Can you see your notes on your phone if your phone is synced with the notes?
Not really, but I can send it right now as an email and then do it. Give me a second, please.
Sure, sir.
Just a minute. Speeches. Yeah, okay, I've managed to get it on my phone. And now I'm going to share my screen again.
Sandeep, share screen mein na, there is an option generally which says that you can share only a particular advanced options mein jaake na, you can share a particular one and keep the other one open.
Okay, I managed now, so I'll figure that out later. Thanks so much, Manmeet. Manpreet. So the six most important graphs you'll ever see. The first one is friends. Before 20, a lot of time is spent with friends, almost 2-3 hours on an average every day. It dips slowly till you reach 30, after which age it gets even lesser. Then you will have just a few important friends. That's why we say choose your friends wisely. I'd like to share a very poignant and beautiful story about how you can choose a good friend and how it means so much to you in your life. This is a story about one of the best loved songs of all time. Simon and Garfunkel's hit, The Sound of Silence. It topped the US charts and went on to platinum in the United Kingdom and provided the unforgettable soundtrack for the 1967 film classic, The Graduate. But to one man, The Sound of Silence means just more than just a #1 song on the radio. Its poignant opening lines, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again." Sanford or Sandy Greenberg is Art Garfunkel's best friend and reveals that the song was a touching tribute to their undying bond and the singer's sacrifice that saved Sandy's life when he unexpectedly lost his sight. Sandy and Arthur, as Art was then known, met during the first week as students at the prestigious Columbia University in New York. A young man wearing an Argyle sweater and corduroy pants and blonde hair with a crew cut came over and said, "Hi, I'm Arthur Garfunkel." They became roommates, bonding over a shared taste in books, poetry, and music. Every night, Arthur and I would sing. He would play his guitar, and I would be the DJ, says Sandy. The air was always filled with music. Still teenagers, they made a pact to always be there for each other's in times of trouble. They had no idea their promise would be tested so soon. Just months later, Sandy was at a baseball game and suddenly his eyes became cloudy and his vision became unhinged. Shortly after that, darkness descended. Doctors diagnosed conjunctivitis, assuring it would pass. But days later, Sandy went blind, and doctors realized that glaucoma had destroyed his optic nerves. Sandy was the son of a rag and bone man. His family, Jewish immigrants in Buffalo, New York, had no money to help him. So he had no choice but to drop out of college and gave up his dream of becoming a lawyer and plunged into depression. He wouldn't see anyone. He just refused to talk to anybody, Sandy recalls. And then unexpectedly, Arthur flew in, saying he had to talk to Sandy. He said, "You're going to come back, aren't you?" Sandy replied, "No, there's no conceivable way." But he was pretty insistent and finally said, "Look, I don't think you get it. I need you back there. That's the pact we made together. We would be there for each other in times of crises. I will help you." Together, they returned to Columbia University, where Sandy became dependent on Garfunkel's support. Art would walk Sandy to class, bandage his wounds when he fell, and even filled out his graduation school application. Garfunkel called himself Darkness in a show of empathy. The singer explained, "I was saying, I want to be together where you are, in the black." Sandy recalls that he would come in and say, "Darkness is going to read to you now." Then he would take me to class and back. He would take me around the city. He altered his entire life so that it would accommodate me. Garfunkel would talk about Sandy with his high school friend Paul Simon from Queens, New York, as the folk rock duo struggled to launch their musical careers performing at local parties and clubs. So Simon wrote the song. The lyrics to The Sound of Silence are infused with Garfunkel's compassion as Darkness, Sandy's old friend. Guiding Sandy through New York one day as they stood in the vast forecourt of the bustling Grand Central Station, Garfunkel said that he had to leave for an assignment, abandoning his blind friend alone in the rush hour crowd, terrified, stumbling and falling. "I cut my forehead," says Sandy. "I cut my shins. My socks were bloodied. I had my hands out and bumped into a woman's breasts. It was a horrendous feeling of shame and humiliation. I started running forward, knocking over coffee cups and briefcases. And finally, I got to the local train to Columbia University. It was the worst couple of hours in my life." Back on campus, he bumped into a man who apologized. I knew instantly that was Arthur's voice. For a moment, I was enraged. And then Sandy understood what had happened. That his colossally insightful, brilliant, yet wildly risky strategy had worked. Garfunkel had not abandoned Sandy at the station, but had followed him the entire way home, watching over him. Arthur knew it was only when Sandy could prove to himself that he could do it that Sandy would have real independence. And it worked, because after that, Sandy felt that he could do anything. That moment was the spark that caused Sandy to live a completely different life, without fear, without doubt. For that, he said he is tremendously grateful to his friend. Sandy not only graduated, but went on to study for the master's degree at Harvard and Oxford. While in Britain, he received a phone call one day from his friend, and with it, the chance to keep his side of their pact. Garfunkel wanted to drop out of architecture school and record his first album with Paul Simon, but explained, "I need $400 to get started." Sandy, by then, had married his high school sweetheart and says, "We had only $404 in our current account. But I told Arthur, you will have your check." It was an instant reaction because he had helped me restart my life, and his request was the first time that I had been able to live up to his half of our solemn covenant. The 1964 album, Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., was critical and a commercial flop. But one of the tracks was The Sound of Silence, which was released as a single the following year and went on to #1 across the world. The Sound of Silence meant a lot because it starts out with the words, "Hello, darkness," and this was Darkness singing. The guy who read to me after I returned to Columbia blind, says Sandy. Simon and Garfunkel went on to have 4 smash albums with hits including Mrs. Robinson, The Boxer, and Bridge Over Troubled Waters, and many more. Amazingly, Sandy went on to an extraordinary success as an inventor, entrepreneur, investor, presidential advisor, and philanthropist. The father of 3 who launched a $3 million prize to find a cure for blindness, but has always refused to use a white cane or a guide dog. I don't want to be the blind guy, he says. I want to be Sandy Greenberg, the human being. 6 decades later, the 2 men remain best friends, and Garfunkel credits Sandy with transforming his life. With Sandy, my real life emerged, says the singer. I became a better guy in my own eyes and began to see who I was, somebody who gives to a friend. I blush to find myself within his dimension. My friend is the gold standard of decency. And Sandy says, I am the luckiest man in the world. Remember, choose your friends well and wisely. The next stage of our life is when you, as a child, look to your parents. After the age of 20, you will only spend a small amount of time with your family and parents before the end of their or your life. When you're 10, you spend almost 4 to 5 hours per day with your family, which progressively dips till you're 20, after which you spend a very small amount of time. Here's a very interesting story for a child looking up to his parents. Every year, young Krishna's parents took him to his grandmother's home for the summer break, and they would return home on the same train after 2 weeks. One day, Krishna tells his parents, I am grown up now. What if I go to grandma's house alone this year? After a brief discussion, the parents agree. Here they are standing on the train station wharf, greeting him, giving him one last tip through the window as Krishna continues to repeat, I know, you've already told me this so many times. The train is about to leave, and the father whispers, my son, if you suddenly feel bad or scared, this is for you. And he slips a piece of paper into Krishna's pocket. Now the boy is all alone, sitting on the train without his parents for the first time. He looks at the scenery through the windows that scrolls. Around him, strangers hustle, make noise, enter and exit the compartment. He gets that feeling that he's alone. A person even gives him a sad look. So this boy is feeling more uncomfortable. And now he starts getting scared. His stomach starts hurting and the heart starts to pump a little faster, as if keeping in rhythm with the speed of the train. He lowers his head, snuggles in a corner of the seat as tears rise to his eyes. At that point, he remembers his father putting a slip of paper in his pocket. With a trembling hand, he seeks to grope this piece of paper, opens it, and reads. It says, son, don't worry. I'm in the next compartment. A smile ray of confidence and an unimagined wave of hope rises in his face with his head lifted high. Broad smile. Now he's super comfortable amid strangers. This is how it is in life. When God sent us in this world all by ourselves, He also slipped a note in your pocket. I am traveling with you. So just don't panic. Don't be depressed. It'll only affect your physical and mental health. Here, a parent is God. In these uncertain times, where the world is fighting to survive, there is someone in the other compartment for us. And you could be in a compartment that someone is banking on. Trust your parents. Have faith in them throughout our journey. The third stage of life is with co-workers. You spend a huge amount of your time between the ages of 20 and 60, automatically with the people you work with your co-workers. Therefore, it's very important that you learn to live harmoniously with your co-workers. You take up a job which you enjoy and love going to. Don't let it be a drag. It's very important because you're going to spend almost 8 hours a day at many a years with your co-workers. It's very important to be happy in what you're doing. Now, this slide is so important because in slide number 2, I showed you how as a child you looked at as a parent. Now you've grown up, and as a parent, how do you look at your child? It's the converse. It's all about spending time with your children between the ages of 25 and 50, not your child 25 and 50. When you are 25 and 50, between that is when you bring your child up. You have a very short time to instill all the values and virtues of life because you won't see them after that very often. So the time spent, as you see in the graph, when you're closing to 25, sometimes is as high as 8 hours. And as you approach 50, it starts getting lesser, lesser, lesser. And of course, then the children move on and they're no more spending that much time with you. It's a very interesting story, which I want to combine with the next slide, which is about your partner. The time you spend with your partner increases from the day you meet them until the day you die. And that almost stagnates sometimes at 4 or 5 hours a day. So you meet your partner around, say, age 30, and then you continuously live with them, and you're spending about 4 hours a day with them. So the maximum time you spend is with your partner from age 20 onwards. It was, and I will now share a very lovely story which imbibes how it is important to instill those values in your child and how it is important to choose a partner wisely. It was early morning when my wife and I boarded the Janmabhoomi train at Visakhapatnam station to attend my friend's daughter's wedding at Rajamundry, says the author. The early morning breeze and the train's rocking movement was soporific, and we dozed off until the train halted at Tuni. I hailed a passing vendor and asked for 2 cups of coffee. I handed over 1 cup to my wife and took a sip. I complimented him on the coffee and asked, "How much?" as I opened my wallet to find that it had only 200 rupee notes. Hearing his response of 20 rupees, I handed over a 200 rupee note to him. "Don't you have change, sir?" he asked as he put down his flask and started searching for change in the shirt pocket. The train started. Before he could take the change out of his pocket, it sped away. A compartment was next to the engine, so he got no chance to hand over the change, though he did attempt to run after the train. I blamed myself for having ordered coffee without checking the availability of change. Oh my God, how foolish of you. Could you not have taken the change and then handed over the note? What's the use of your age and experience? My wife gleefully took the opportunity to snub me. I tried to justify my action. Okay, suppose he had given the change and the train had started before I could give him the note. Then would it not have been a loss to him? What loss? From morning, he would have met 10 people like you. And at the end of the day, he will have only profit, no loss, replied my wife with a cynical smile on her face. We should trust people. Poor fellow. What can he do if the train started? Will he subsist on our money? Now my better half is irritated to hear me defending him. They wait for just such opportunities. If he meets 4 simpletons like you, it'll be enough to earn a day's living, grumbled my wife, glaring at me. I maintained a stoic silence. Anyway, you cannot expect him be as honest and as principled as you are, she concluded, looking around at the other co-passengers, who were all looking at us. The train had picked up speed and we crossed the next station, Annavaram. Gradually, I let go of the slender hope that I had of getting back the change. My wife believes that I get cheated by people since I have a naive faith in mankind and I'm kind. I was quite accustomed to being put down by her and being scolded, since I believe that she is not correct in distrusting others. I strongly believe that we should see goodness in others, and if anyone lacks if anyone lacks it, their baseness should be attributed to the environment and conditions in which they grew up. I believe that each one inside of us, there is the potential for both good and evil. What we choose depends on the circumstances. Though I have been proved wrong by her on many similar occasions, it did not affect my faith. I believe that the dharma or righteousness is upheld by its fourth leg of trustfulness. Let it go. Poor people. Are they going to build palaces with our money? Forget it, I said, trying to pacify her. She stayed silent out of her affection for me, and I was in no mood to prolong the conversation. The compartment was filled with many standing passengers. I let my gaze slide outside to the fleeing fields. By then, many of my co-passengers were looking at me and assessing me according to their perception. Some were thinking of me as a fool, while others were looking at me with sympathy and pity. Some were smiling to themselves about the free entertainment they had enjoyed, and some were curious to see what would happen next. By the time the train reached the outskirts of Pitapuram, all had lost their interest in us and were lost in their thoughts. It was then that I heard a voice. Sir,
10 minutes.
was it not you? Sir, was it not you who bought 2 coffees and gave a 200 rupee note? I turned towards the voice. Pushing his way through the crowd was a teenage boy who stopped in front of my seat. Suddenly, I felt elated, though he did not look like the coffee vendor whom I remembered as being middle-aged. Yes, son, I did give a 200 rupee note to a coffee vendor, but the train sped away before I could receive the change. However, I do not remember buying coffee from you, I said honestly. Yes, sir, but you are the person who drank the coffee at Tuni station, he asked me again. Why would I lie? If you want, you can ask these people here. No, no, sir, I do not doubt you, but I was just confirming to avoid making a mistake. Saying this, he took out the change of 180 rupees from his pocket and handed it over to me. You are? I am his son, sir. I looked at him with surprise, since he seemed to have guessed my doubt. Sir, every day, 1 or 2 such incidents happen at Tuni station because the train does not stop for long. In that short time, many people panic, give a note, and the train starts before they can receive back the change. That is why I usually board the train and wait. My father messages me giving details of the persons, of the amount, compartment, and seat number to whom the change has to be returned. I return the change and get down at the next station and return back to Tuni by another train. My father leaves some change with me for such transaction. I was surprised, but still managed to ask, are you studying? 10th class, sir. My elder brother helps father in the afternoon, and I help him in the mornings. When I heard this, I felt like talking to his father. So I asked him for his father's phone number and dialed him. Your son has just returned the change for the 200 rupees note. I am calling to express my appreciation for your actions. I am so very happy that you're not only educating your children, but more important, instilling in them the values of honesty and integrity. I said while complimenting him. That is very nice of you, sir. I feel honored that you're taking the trouble to call just to express your appreciation. I have only studied up to the 5th class. In those days, short stories about ethics and morality were narrated to us, and textbooks also had material that strengthened values like honesty and integrity, so we learned to differentiate between good and bad, right and wrong. It is those principles which guide me to lead a trouble-free, honest life. As I listened to his words on the phone, I was amazed by his words and thought process. He continued, but today those values are not taught in schools. What children are taught these days is as unhealthy as giving spicy food to babies. When my children were studying at home, I used to listen to them and notice that the curriculum no longer has moral stories, inspiring poetry or children's books by authors. Nothing of value. That is why I entrust them with simple tasks like these to pass on the few values that I know. That is all. I was amazed by the foresight of this man, and I just patted the son on his shoulders. My wife was taken aback, seeing the glow of joy on my face as I placed the 180 rupees triumphantly returned by the boy in my wallet. She gave me an apologetic, sheepish smile because she knew that the joy was not for the money regained, but for something else. Look at the beautiful understanding between the partners. The husband neither got angry at her for chiding him earlier, but how subtly she conveyed her apology to the husband later. The husband took both in his stride. Remember to choose your partner well. Look at how beautifully the father is spending the limited time he has with his children, inculcating such fantastic values in them. This humble coffee's vendor's action appears to be proof that, as predicted, righteousness or dharma still flourishes in the world because it was on the fourth leg of truthfulness. As I watched the boy move down the compartment, I mentally saluted the coffee vendor. This little time a parent spends with his children. Look at this mere vendor, how wonderfully he spent it with these children. And as we move on to the sixth graph and the final graph of a life, at 30 years, the amount of time you spend by yourself increases until the day you die. It goes up progressively from 4 hours to even in excess of 8 hours. And what do you do when you spend your time alone? This is the time you spend in activities like Rotary, hobbies, reading, or just meditating. It all depends on you. So in the end, these beautifully described 4 stages of life and the 6 graphs are staring at you. But how many of us have ever evaluated and compartmentalized our lives into these 6 graphs? Only if we actually sit down and think that, yes, this is what we should have been doing and this is what we should do, you realize that sometimes you may have miscalculated or not realize what went on. So in the end, the 6 lessons we learn from this is: 1, you will only ever have a small group of very important friends. Invest more in them and less in meaningless relationships. 2, your time with parents will be limited. Create as much time for them as you can and make that time special. 3, a huge amount of time will be spent with the people you work. So make sure you work with people you love and you do the job you love. 4, once you have kids, the time spent with them is short, so make the most of it. 5, who you choose to be your romantic partner is one of the most important decisions in life. Choose widely, just don't settle for anything. 6, you have to learn to love yourself, enjoy your own company, pursue hobbies, because as you age, you'll spend time on your own. Spend more time with those that you love the most, because one of these days you'll say either, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. Thank you.
थैंक यू डीजीएन संदीप जी। शायद पहली बार मुझे ऐसा प्रतीत हुआ कि रोटरी में आके भी रोटरी के अलावा कुछ हम सुनने को मिल रहा है। मतलब नहीं तो हमेशा जब भी रोटरी की मीटिंग होती है तो आई थिंक वी लिसन ओनली टू रोटरी ओनली। और बहुत अच्छे ये आपने जो 6 स्टेप्स बताए, रियली बहुत अच्छा। और वो कॉफी वाला 180 रुपए का स्टोरी तो मुझे बहुत ही पसंद आया। रियली आई अप्रिशिएट योर लेसन्स। Thank you very much. I now request our past president Virel Gohil to say a word of thanks to our today chief guest speaker DGN Sandip Agarwalla ji. Viren ji.
Thank you, Singlaji, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening, friends. Friends, what a mesmerizing and fantastic presentation given by Sandeep. Well, this is just a trailer of what we are going to enjoy in the Alpha year. I think all of you would agree. And as it is, I'm a fan of Sandip, the speaker, because he's endowed with such a fantastic voice quality, his eloquence and everything, So you feel like, let go on Sandip. We want to listen more, Every time I listen to him, it's like that. So, but apart from that, the topic chosen by him is really unique, and it was full of wisdom and a lot of knowledge and insight into it. So everybody who has attended this meeting is enriched with, whatever you said. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for this thing. And Malini, thank you for gracing this meeting. And I also thank all the dignitaries who are present, like Sashi Sharma, Vijay Jalan, Jayant Kulkarni, Kailas Jithani, and everyone, from the other clubs as well for hosting, like RC Mulund, Mumbai Salt City, then Hillview, Mulund Valley, and Mulund East. It was a fantastic meeting. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, वीरेन जी। मेरी तरफ से भी सब मेहमानों का मैं फिर से धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। हमारे आज जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट 3040 के DGN रोटेरियन जिनेंद्रा जैन जी है, 3142 के DGN श्री कैलाश जेठानी जी है, हमारे PDG विजय जलान जी है, हमारे PDG शशि शर्मा जी है, और फर्स्ट लेडी फॉर ईयर 22-23 मालिनी जी, सबका मैं हमारे क्लब में आए हुए धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा सबका। और भी जो मेहमान हैं, हमारे अल्फा के प्रेसिडेंट हैं, दूसरे क्लबों के हमारे प्रेसिडेंट हैं, दूसरे रोटेरियन, मेरे को प्रेसिडेंट, मैं सबका नाम तो नहीं ले पा रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैं जितने भी हमारे मेहमान हैं सबका मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। और मैं हमारे क्लब सेक्रेटरी मनप्रीत सिंह जी को, अभी मेरे सामने उन्नी कृष्णन जी है, उनका भी मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। और हमारे मनप्रीत जी को मैं इनवाइट करूँगा फॉर सेक्रेटरियल अनाउंसमेंट।
Harjinder ji, I want to thank past Governor Jayant Kulkarni also. वो भी आए हैं, उनका बहुत बहुत
हाँ जी,
धन्यवाद।
चलिए जी, जयंत कुलकर्णी जी का भी मैं स्वागत और धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। सॉरी, मैं एक्चुअली स्क्रीन पे सबको देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ, तो जो भी प्रेजेंट है जिनका मैं नाम नहीं ले पाया हूँ, मैं उनका भी सबका स्वागत और धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। हाँ जी, ओवर टू मनप्रीत
Ji, and I think this is one of the most, like it has been already said before, one of the most mesmerizing talks that I've listened to, and especially all the stories that were given. And I wanted to personally say thank you to Sandip ji. So thank you once again. And for secretarial announcements, we will be having a food distribution on the 20th of May. We will be distributing 106 food kits to the needy people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manpreet. Thank you all. I think officially this meeting is over. I adjourn this meeting. Now we can have some fellowship if we want. We can have some chit chat. Since so many guests are there, we can have some fellowship right now.
हमारे दो colleagues आए हैं, DGN कैलाश जेठानी from our 3142. Thank you, Kailash. Thank you, Jinendra. I don't know if you're still here, 3040. Thank you for coming. And of course, my friends and my seniors, Vijay Jalan, Jayant Kulkarni, Shashi Sharma, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
हाँ जी सर, कहिए शर्मा जी, कैसे हैं सर?
बहुत बिल्कुल ठीक यार, मजा आ गया।
नहीं अच्छा, ये एक्चुअली फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा है कि रोटरी से हट के
आपने कहा कि हमेशा रोटरी के बारे में सुनना पड़ता है, जरा अलग हटके हो गया।
नहीं बिल्कुल।
और वो 200 रुपए की स्टोरी तो आपको याद रहेगी। ये एक एक्चुअल कल्चर बिल्डिंग एक्सरसाइज है, यू नो।
बहुत अच्छा वो उनका जो था कोऑर्डिनेशन की, एक बंदा ट्रेन में रहेगा।
लेकिन मुझे एक बात का समझ में नहीं आया कि
शशि एक मिनट, शशि, I just want to recognize हरजिंदर जी, I just want to recognize DGN 3160 के भी वमीना सतीश जी भी आए हुए हैं, उनका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत और धन्यवाद।
नहीं, मुझे एक बात संदीप की बरोबर नहीं जमी, मेरे सुनिए, संदीप की नहीं जमी कि मालिनी उनके ऊपर इतना बरसेगी, वो नहीं समझ में आया।
पकड़े गए।
राजेंद्र जी,
हाँ जी,
मैं फिफ्थ वाले ग्राफ के ऊपर बात करना चाहता हूँ। फिफ्थ वाले ग्राफ में जो संदीप भाई ने बोला था कि 8 hours विथ पार्टनर, but present scenario is that 24 hours with the partner.
नहीं वो तो
सही
अभी
बात है।
मैं हमेशा
लेकिन
बोला
ये
करता
नहीं
था
बोला कौन सा पार्टनर।
जी जी, तो यहाँ तो मालिनी जी होंगी पार्टनर पक्का। मैं हमेशा अपनी मीटिंग्स में और हमेशा एक बात सब अपने फ्रेंड्स को बोलता हूँ कि अगर आपको रोटरी का सबसे बढ़िया पार्ट है तो आप आरएफई में चले जाइए वाइफ के साथ में, तो 24/7 आप पूरी लाइफ में अपनी फैमिली मतलब वाइफ के साथ नहीं रहोगे, सुबह उठेंगे साथ में, मीटिंग साथ में, खाना साथ में, घूमना साथ में, इवन देन 24/7 यू आर विद योर पार्टनर इन ओनली आरएफई। इवन आपकी शादी के बाद, शादी के अगले दिन या कोई भी पूरी लाइफ में आप कोई दिन काउंट कर लीजिए कि कोई भी ऐसा दिन नहीं होगा जब 24/7 यू आर विद योर पार्टनर, बट ओनली द आरएफई इज द रोटरी प्रोग्राम कि आप 24/7 आप बिल्कुल साथ में हैं। और संदीप भाई, मैं तो आपका वैसे ही बहुत बड़ा फैन हूँ, क्योंकि आपने, मुझे अभी भी याद है कि 2020 में आप सबसे आखिरी में आपका अनाउंसमेंट हुआ था, और अभी हम 1-2 महीने पहले एक मीटिंग में बात कर रहे थे, तो मैं 3141 के जो फ्रेंड्स हैं उन लोगों को बताना चाहता हूँ कि प्रसन इज वेरी एडवांस। इनका अल्फा टीम, अल्फा इनका जो प्रोडक्ट, जो अल्फा जो इन्होंने नाम लिया है, और उसकी पूरी तैयारी है इन्होंने इवन देन हम लोगों को बैचमेट्स को फॉर द आवर प्लानिंग पूरा हमको इन्होंने साल का प्रोग्राम तक हमको सबमिट किया हुआ है। संदीप भाई, सैल्यूट टू यू। जब आपने कहा कम टू मी, तो मैंने तुरंत कहा ये सब मौका चुनने दीजिए कि संदीप भाई के साथ कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, और बहुत अच्छा लगा मुंबई घाट के ऊपर क्लब के साथ। वैसे मैं अनइनवाइटेड पर्सन हूँ, बट
थैंक यू सर
जी।
एक चीज मुझे अभी भी याद है, जब हमारे डीजी शशि शर्मा जी थे, और जिस दिन इंस्टॉलेशन था उन्होंने वो 7 का पहाड़ा हमें सिखाया था, नंबर 7, और वो भी मुझे याद रहेगा। तो आज ये 6 बातें सीखने को मिली, और 2018 में हमको हमारे डीजी शशि शर्मा जी ने तभी 7 का पहाड़ा सिखाया था, और 7 के ऊपर ही इतना लकी हुआ था कि मेरा भी बर्थ 7 जून को ही है, तो मैंने कहा
शशि शर्मा जी नमस्कार आपको।
नमस्कार। मैंने कहा आपका पीछे फोटो भी लगा रखी है आपने, तो 24 से 48 घंटे चल रहे हैं।
जी सही बता रहे
हैं। मैं आपकी इजाजत लूं प्रेसिडेंट सर, कैन आई टेक योर लीव?
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।
या थैंक यू सो मच। एक्चुअली आज हम नहीं आते तो हमारा बहुत ग्रेट लॉस हो जाता था।
बिल्कुल,
बहुत ही अच्छा हुआ। ओके वीरेंद्र, बाय 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 बाय।
संदीप भाई नमस्कार, मोमिना जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार जी, नमस्कार जी, नमस्कार जी,
सभी को नमस्कार।